Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be finding out if I, a lifelong player and fan of Gibson guitars, can learn how to love a Stratocaster. Okay, so by this point, if you've been tuning in, you know obviously I'm a guitar player. If you've watched a few of my videos, you've probably come to the conclusion that my taste in guitars tends to skew towards a certain brand. That's right, I am one of those insufferable Gibson fanboys. I've loved them ever since the beginning. When I was first getting started playing guitar, I just loved the look and the sound of Gibson guitars, all of them. If a band was playing a Gibson, I was paying attention. Now, just like every Chevy has a Ford and every Coke has a Pepsi, Gibson has always been pitted by the guitar players against the other guys. Fender. As a naive and impressionable youth, I always held a somewhat adversarial opinion towards Fender guitars. Starting with the look, to me, Fenders were like what a guitar made at IKEA would look like. They're purely function over form. It's just a bunch of flat pieces of wood bolted together. It looks like some kind of cheap home appliance or something. You compare that, hold on. Gibson guitars, on the other hand, are a work of art, right? You got a handcrafted body with the carved top here. They've got the binding around the edge, that beautiful flame maple, the set-in neck. These things are gorgeous, right? They look like instruments, not tools, and that's what always drew me to them. Now, speaking of the sound, this part is purely subjective, but I always liked the thicker, darker, warmer sound of a humbucker-equipped Gibson over the glassy, thin sound of a single coil on a Strat. Don't get me wrong, I was not interested in chicken picking on a telly. I wanted to rock. And the only way to do that was with a Les Paul slung way down low, plugged into a 3 million watt Marshall stack. I was not a very practical guitar player, but I wasn't gonna get caught dead playing some cookie cutter sunburst Strat that every other kid learning to play was using. I wanted a serious guitar. I was serious about this. So I planted my flag in the Gibson camp from the beginning and I never looked back. Obviously, now that I'm older, wiser, and grayer, I understand that that mentality was stupid. Obviously, there is a reason that Fender guitars are seen in the hands of more players than any other brand out there. And some of the most iconic musicians of all time are well-documented Fender players. Asking for a list of who the most famous player to use a Strat is kind of like asking who the most famous person to ever drive a car is. I mean, anyone who's anybody has played a Strat at one time or another. And regardless of their popularity, even the most diehard Gibson fanatic needs some variety in the arsenal, right? I mean, even I could admit, these guitars are all beautiful and I love playing them, but having 8 sets of humbuckers isn't really that great for having a diverse sonic palette when I'm trying to record. So it's nice to have at least one Strat in the stable. But nevertheless, I was stuck in my ways. Over the years, I've owned just about every kind of Gibson one way or another. I've bought and sold a whole bunch of them. Through playing only Gibsons, I've developed a liking to their specs, right? Gibsons have a slightly shorter scale length, the necks tend to be a little bit bigger on average, and just with the type of hardware and the setup and everything, it's a totally different experience playing a Gibson versus playing a Fender. So when I sit down with these, it's always a little alien. I can still play them, but it's just not quite as comfortable as when I'm playing a Gibson guitar. So, today we're gonna be talking about this Strat. This is a really weird little guitar. I got it from a friend of mine. To be honest, I don't even know if this is a real Fender. I think this might be a parts caster. It says Fender on the headstock, but I think that might just be a decal. I don't really know like what pickups or anything are in this, but to be honest, I don't know enough about Fenders to know if it's real or not. I don't think it is. I like it. Actually, I really like the color. I think the seafoam green looks cool and I like kind of the mint colored pickguard, but I think it could use a setup, and I think it could use some higher quality parts. So in this video, we're going to strip this. We're going to take out these pickups. I have no idea what they are. We're going to put some new pickups in there, maybe swap out some of these potentiometers and stuff, maybe upgrade our bridge and tuners, and just get this thing turned into a real hot rod. And at the end of it, we'll see if I really enjoy playing this. But before we start tearing this apart, let's just do a couple little sound demos to hear what it sounds like right now. Okay, honestly, not bad. It sounds like a Strat. It's doing the Strat thing, which is what I need it to do. I'm still not a huge fan of the sound of those pickups, even for single coils. I think they're a little too buzzy and they're really, really trebly. I don't know if there's a grounding issue happening or if they're just really cheap pickups. Either way, let's move over to the bench. We're gonna tear the whole guitar apart and look at all the guts on the inside. Here's where I really gotta give it up for Fender though, because if you wanna take the whole guitar apart, it's basically as easy as this. Now that we have the entire thing disassembled, let's take a look at all the individual parts here, starting with the body. I love that this is a seafoam green. It's already got all the holes drilled, so we should be able to put all the new parts in. And wait, what is that? Okay, well, I wasn't expecting there to be a huge crack going through the entire body. I mean, it sucks, but I guess we're replacing so many parts anyway, we may as well just get a new Strat body. I mean, at least the neck is pretty decent. It's got a good shape, nice finish. Frets are pretty decent. Oh, what the fuck? Ow, damn it. The ship of Thesius is a common thought exercise and paradox from ancient Greek mythology. The gist of the story is basically this. This guy, Thesius, has a ship. He sails it to and fro and slays minotaurs and saves everybody. It's a big deal. Over time, pieces of his boat start to decay and need to be replaced. One by one, he replaces the planks on his ship until eventually every single plank of wood has been replaced by a new piece. Thus, the brainiacs of ancient Greece start to ponder. Is it even the same boat? At what point does it cease to be the ship of Theseus and become something new? You guys see where I'm going with this, right? Let's run down the proposed list of all the parts that we are now swapping on this Strat, okay? Tuners, pickups, potentiometers, pickup selector switch, the bridge, and now the neck and body. You're probably typing this comment right now. Jeej, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. Why are you going through all this hassle? That wasn't even a real Fender to begin with. If the point of this video is to learn how to love the Fender, why don't you just buy a Strat? There's a very simple answer to all those questions. So we need to find a replacement body and neck for this Strat. Let's head on over to Reverb and see if they have anything for a decent price. I'd really like to try and keep this a seafoam green guitar, but I'm not so worried about buying any genuine Fender products. Let's just see if there's any unnamed Strat bodies around that will work for this project. So after a little bit of searching, I came across this listing, which looks great. It's not a genuine Fender product, but it is a seafoam green Strat body, and what's better is it comes pre-loaded with a whole bunch of extra parts, including a set of genuine Fender Texas Special single coils. At this price, this is gonna save us a ton of money on upgrading the pickups. Okay, we ordered the body. Now, since we're going all the way down the rabbit hole, let's talk about the neck. First things first, I know this isn't a real Fender. This is just a decal that was slapped on here. It doesn't even have a serial number on it. Since we're already swapping the body and all the electronics and everything, why not? There's the split on the bottom here, the wood is splitting, and also, if you look close, whoever tried their hand at mounting this on the body needed a couple of attempts because we have some extra holes here for the neck bolts, and it looks like they were even filled at one point with some toothpicks. Yikes. I think that's probably what was causing the split because this was not done very professionally. Oops. There are a couple of specs that I like about this neck though. I like the rosewood fingerboard. I think the darker fretboard contrasts well with the seafoam green, and I'd like to try and find a new one that has that same spec. Additionally, I like the look of the vintage style Fender tuning machines. I like the look, I like the functionality, it's kind of neat little vintage vibe. Here's what's weird about that though. These tuning machines have a smaller size post hole. So the holes that they drill into the headstock are smaller than on the modern necks because they use bigger tuning machines for the more modern Fenders. What's really strange about that is of all of the Fender necks that I've come across that have this smaller vintage size tuning machine hole, none of them have the truss rod adjustment point up here on the headstock. So on most vintage Fenders from the 50s and 60s, their truss rod adjustment point was down here on the edge of the neck. Out of the entire guitar manufacturing industry, there isn't a spec that I despise more than this heel truss rod adjustment point. It's so horribly impractical to have to take the entire neck off of your guitar just to adjust the truss rod. I don't understand why Fender ever made it that way or why they continue making those necks with the specs. It's a horribly impractical and outdated design. That being said, if I want to find a neck with all the specs that I want, I need to find one with a rosewood fingerboard, the vintage size tuning machine holes, and this truss rod adjustment on the headstock, which is going to be difficult, but I think I'm onto something that might work. Oh. Okay. So, whoops, I forgot to push the record on the camera. Don't tell the viewers at home this, but we're gonna fake the unboxing, okay? We're just gonna pretend. Audio sync.
Whoa, look at this brand new cool box. Let's open it up. Oh my gosh, this is the first time I'm seeing it. Whoa.
For real reactions. Okay, so looks pretty good. Feels kind of heavy, which I like. I'm always searching for a heavier guitar. So let's compare the two though and see like how the body shape is similar or different. Okay, side by side. This is the old one, this is the new one. They're just about completely identical. I know you probably can't see that well on the camera. I think the horns on this one are maybe a little sharper on the new one, but I don't know which one of those is more in line with Fender specs, nor do I think you can really tell from this camera angle, so whatever. Things I can notice, this is definitely more blue, this is more green. Could just be this is a more faded finish or just slightly different tint of paint. This one came with a pearloid pickguard, which I will be taking off because I don't like that look. I'll be putting this pickguard on this body. One thing I've noticed right away on this one is it doesn't have the holes drilled for the neck, so we're gonna have to figure out a way to drill some holes that will match our new guitar neck that's coming. All right, it's a couple days later and our neck has arrived, so let's get this unboxed. All right, this thing looks great. This is a Mexican-made neck. It came off a guitar made in 2000. It's got all the specs that I want. It's got the rosewood fingerboard, really nice dark piece of rosewood too. I like that a lot. It has the vintage style tuning machines, or at least the holes for vintage style tuning machines. And the most important part is it has our truss rod adjustment point up at the headstock instead of down here, which is great. There's a little bit of fret wear on this. I mean, it's a 25-year-old guitar. It's been played, but it's not too bad. So the fret ends feel really nice. The shape of the neck feels really good. I'm really happy with this, but let's see if it fits on the body that we ordered, because that is something I'm a little nervous about. Whenever you're mixing and matching parts with genuine Fender and not genuine Fender, could be a little dicey. So let's take a look. Oh boy. Okay, well, that's what I was worried about. There's quite a bit of play in here. This neck pocket is a lot wider than the neck itself. Okay, so I think as long as we have the neck aligned on the body right, it should be fine. I've been doing a little bit of reading on this. I mean, Strat and guitar guys in general are gonna debate this until the end of time, but the general consensus is if you have the 4 bolts tight holding the neck onto the body, even if there's a little bit of play in that neck pocket, it's not really gonna affect anything that much, but it is a lot harder to get it aligned just right. And if that neck is shifted one way or the other in the body, even just a little bit, that could mean that one of the strings is gonna be hanging off the fretboard, which is way, way bad. We don't want that. But there's an added complication to this because the neck has the holes drilled in it from when it was installed on a guitar body before. But this body doesn't have the holes drilled, which means we are gonna have to find some way to transfer the exact positioning of the holes on that neck onto the body and also keep it perfectly aligned so that the string spacing is correct. This is gonna be really hard. And since I don't trust myself to do those measurements and I don't have a drill press, we are headed to my stepdad Greg's workshop. Let's go. Okay, to cut a long story short, here's how we ended up doing this. We took some framing nails and cut them to length and stuck them in the holes in the neck. Then we carefully held the neck in place in the neck pocket and strung it up with the high and low E strings. Once we got our alignment perfect, we pressed down on the neck and those little nails made indents into the body where we needed to drill. Well,
it's either going to work or it's not.
Well, we got it all bolted together, and good news, it did work. Curiously though, it seems like these strings are a little bit narrow on this neck, and you can see they don't exactly line up with the pull pieces on the pickups. I don't know if that's an issue with the spacing of the bridge or the nut, but either way, the strings are not falling off the fretboard, and that's all that matters to me. All right, so now that we got our heavy construction out of the way, let's take a look at the pickguards. So on the left here, you see the one that came with this new guitar body, and on the right, this is the one from the old Strat. Now, I don't really like the look of the pearloid pickguard, so we're gonna take the pickups out of that one and put them in our mint green pickguard, because I think that'll look a lot better on this guitar. Taking a look at the back side of this though, it looks like the components that they used on both of these aren't super high quality, so what I'm gonna do is get some full-size CTS 250K pots to put on the mint green pickguard, and I'm also gonna replace the pickup selector switch with a genuine Fender 5-way. From here, it's basically just about disassembling everything, taking all those junk electronics out of the old pickguard, and installing all the new pieces onto it. With all of our new parts installed in place on the pickguard, it's time for the most tedious, arduous, time-consuming step in the entire process. Strap in for the next 40 minutes and watch me fumble around with this soldering iron. Just kidding, it's all done. I'm not gonna make you sit through all that bullshit. Hey, okay, so we got the whole pickguard wired up. All of the controls and the pickups are now wired to where they need to be, but we still just need to connect the bridge ground wire here, and we need to connect the output jack. Once we do that, we can install the pickguard on here, then we can put some strings on it, get it set up, and start making noise. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, here's something I haven't really been filming, but I thought I would share a little bit of. I'm currently doing a fret level on this neck. There was some fret wear on some of the frets. Like I said, it's an old neck, and I just thought I'd try my hand at leveling some of these, and right now I'm in the step where I am crowning them with a crowning file. It's going pretty well, so we'll see here once we get to the end if they polish up nice. I tried putting some strings on it earlier and didn't really notice too much of an issue with the playability, but I did think we could correct some of the buzzy spots with a fret level, so let's see how it turns out. Well, the good news is Jeej is a badass, so this fret level turned out great. These frets are glassy smooth and the playability is awesome, no buzzing anywhere. So the next step is I'm gonna do a full setup on this thing. We're going to check the height of the bridge saddles, adjust those, do a truss rod adjustment, and then finally we need to file out the slots on this nut a little bit. I'm using this super handy tool called the nut slotting gauge from StewMac to make sure I get the height at the first fret just perfect. And with that, this guitar is done. But my bench is super messy, so let's get that taken care of really quick. Whew, okay, that was a lot of work. So what did it get me? Well, this is a pretty rad guitar. I know on the surface it looks just like how it did when it started, but it's basically a whole new guitar. All new body, all new neck. We have Texas Special genuine Fender pickups. This is a new bridge, 250K CTS pots. This is a genuine Fender 5-way selector switch. I decided to keep the tuners that came with the neck because they're the vintage style tuners. They look great, they work great, and all of the pieces came together really well. Now, admittedly, there was a lot more work that went into getting this set up than I originally anticipated. Bolting the neck on was a little bit stressful because we had to drill our own holes, and I ended up doing a fret level and a full setup, including adjusting the slots on the nut. But at the end of the day, this thing sounds and plays awesome. I was not expecting to dig this guitar so much. I've already started taking this to band practice. This thing is rad. Like, I get it now. I get it. I mean, it's gonna be a really handy tool to have in the studio anytime I need that Fender sound. So at this point, there's only one question left to answer. Have I learned to stop worrying and love the Fender? Well, there's only one way to find out. So the title of this video is an obvious reference to the 60s Stanley Kubrick movie, Dr. Strangelove. And at first it was just kind of a funny pun, but I watched the movie again recently while I was working on this video and forgot how incredible it is. Like I have in the past with all my other videos, what I like to do when I'm reviewing a piece of gear is write my own original music with it to hear how it sounds in the context of a song. So this song you're about to hear is all referencing that silly movie from the 60s, and it's all recorded using this Strat. So check it out. Get Dimitri on the phone. There's no fighting allowed in the war room. Doctor, what do you propose? Bombs away, we're spending 93 years underground. So, what did we learn from this experiment? I learned a lot. First of all, I love this guitar. It's awesome. It plays great, it sounds great, it looks great. I didn't expect to enjoy this as much as I do, but you heard it in the song. It rocks. It does what I need it to, and it's a great addition to the studio. The second thing I learned is putting together a parts caster is not quite as simple as building Legos, which is what I thought it was like. If you're combining especially genuine Fender parts with not genuine Fender parts, you can run into some issues with alignment, specifically with the neck. But it's okay, it all came together all right. I mean, there was a little bit of finagling involved, but all in all, it wasn't too bad. The third thing is, I finally learned to stop worrying and just love the Fender. So, mission accomplished, right? I want to thank everybody so much for watching. That's going to do it for this video. This whole YouTube channel is just a labor of love, but I absolutely love doing it. I've been getting such a great response on all my recent videos, so thank you for watching. I'm not sponsored by anyone, so money me, money now, me a money needing a lot now. If you want to support me directly, there's links in the bio. If not, whatever. Just please subscribe if you haven't already. Keep watching the videos, keep sending me wonderful comments because I love that. It feeds my ego. Yeah, if you enjoyed the song, that's going up on Spotify too. There should be a link to that in the bio as well. And we'll see you in the next one. Later.